husband has this area here where he has his hammock in a nice shady spot, but I was looking at this from like an aerial view from our security cameras, and I just noticed how it is a complete circle, and I thought, I bet I could make this nicer for him. So that's what I really want to do. This is a tough spot to mow, so I'm going to weed whack it first. Make sure it's raked out. Then I got 3 lemon balm plants, because lemongrass I should say, because mosquitoes don't like lemongrass, and I got a fern just for prettiness. And then I also got some solar lights. I thought it'd be nice to kind of, I haven't figured that out yet, go around the trees with some solar lights, so it'll be, I don't know, like his own little oasis. So step 1, weed whacking.
I have not used a weed whacker for years, just a truth bomb right there. And the one we had the last time I weed whacked was corded, and I used to always hit myself with the little cord that does the cutting. I don't know if I would just have it too long, if I would get it too close to my leg. I don't know what the problem was. So this one is battery powered, and the battery also goes on our leaf blower. We have a battery powered leaf blower that isn't very strong. It doesn't last very long, but it's great for small jobs, and that battery also goes on this. And I will say that I couldn't do my whole yard area or the things that need to be done. So the grass here is very sparse and lots of pine cones and such. I do need to rake it out. Again, I mean, I've raked it out already this year, but things keep on falling. And then to go around, there's another area around our garden where Rachel is planting that I'll show you once things start coming up. And that's kind of a weed whack area, and then areas I'm trying to clean up. So I had done this later, and the battery did die on me, but it was really okay because my arms were sore. And so I think this weed whacker is perfect for me because it's going to die when I'm ready to die. And so then I can just charge the battery, take a break, do something else, and come back at it another time. But it definitely got all this area and a couple other areas too. And it just felt good to get it all clipped. My husband does not love yard work. So the fact that I can do this myself is so amazing, because I used to always try to get him to, hey, could you go out and weed whack? Weeds grow so much faster even than grass. So I am so excited that I can do it myself.
I also want to get over here because I'm going to be redoing this area with a bench soon. So I thought I'd get that.
Those of you who are able to watch all of my videos, you might remember that I wanted to put a bench out at the roadside, and I want to put an empty dog bowl. That way, if we have a boat launch at the end of our road, and a lot of people go walking down this road, and I thought if someone's new to walking or just plain tired, or if it's a super hot day, they could sit on the bench and they could put water from a water bottle in the bowl for their dog. A lot of people walking their dogs. And I want to make a sign that says sit and relax. So what I wanted to do is to keep purchasing like one thing at a time to benefit someone else that comes directly out of the money I make on YouTube. Whenever you watch ads, that's how I make my money. So I appreciate all the ads that you watch. It really does help me a lot. And I really do want to take some of that money and help others with it and let you in on what all of that painstaking ad watching has done. So I'm really hopeful when I get that bench Saturday. I'm also going to put it up on our Facebook page for our community so people know that is here for you. And I'm going to clean out that area. Last year, I cleaned it out in front of the stone wall for the very first time. So it was a big job last year, and I put some flowers out there, and I think I put a chair, but just for decoration. In fact, I think I put a plant on top of the chair. So this year, I'm excited to kind of go one step further and share it with my neighbors.
I avoided weed whacking these. They're just so pretty, aren't they? More over here. Look. Aw, it reminds me of the little flowers I'd pick for my mom. Alright, 5-minute break to burn stuff and make sure that my video went up.
my stick pile that was waist high from our blizzard that we had in April is pretty much gone. It's ready for me to rake. So I was getting sticks for my fire because I have just been consistently burning to get rid of those. And I'm also getting sticks to put at the bottom of the pots. You can also use pine cones, which I'm going to do today. As many of you know, I've had tons of pine cones. There is a scientific reason why we have extra pine cones that a friend told my husband. I don't remember what it is, but it gives you some drainage for your plants, and it's also super lightweight.
All right. I think the fern is good as is. And although I would love to hang it, I don't have a place to hang it. This is totally for looks. It's called a Boston fern, and it says performs best in shady locations. Perfect. Now I do have like a branch over here, but I'd have to get a ladder to put it up there, so I think I'm just going to put it on a stump. For now, I'm going to put it right there. This is where the tree came down in our April blizzard. I just realized I need to go in the back and get my wheelbarrow because it has the junk soil, so I have a bigger pot. I got these today at Dollar General for $5 a piece. So I'm going to put sticks and pine cones in the bottom. That gives it space for water, and it makes it so it's not too heavy for me to carry it. And I read not to worry about the acid in pine cones. Not that lemon grass can't handle acid, but because they've been sitting, the pine cones, they lose their acid apparently. So I'm going to go get the junk soil, and I'm going to get some sticks, and we're going to start getting these pots ready. Now I need to get my topsoil. It was too heavy and it fell out of the wheelbarrow.
I'm doing so much more gardening this year than I have done the last few years. The last few years I haven't been able to spend any extra money on gardening, so I'm just having a blast this year. And maybe next year I'll start earlier and start some things from seed. I don't know if any of you have heard of hydroponic gardening, but Robin and I are going to be experimenting a little bit with that. We actually went to a hydroponic store in our area over the weekend, and he has been watching YouTube videos about how to DIY hydroponics because it is super, super expensive if you haven't noticed. So maybe there'll be more gardening adventures in the future. Let's hope so. But, you know, as you get older, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but your anxiety just naturally gets heightened. And so keeping my mind focused on these things, creating beauty and creating relaxation, you know, plants and, you know, flowers, herbs, all of the things. I was thinking of even getting like a very small water feature for areas where I sit so that I can hear the water. I'm just trying to think of all of the ways, and especially budget-friendly ways, to relax more, to slow down, enjoy life, but still feel productive. Let me know if you can relate to that in the comments section. But I will say, I do have some things right now that I find very stressful. And this helps me so very much. I have the fire going. I can hear birds and chipmunks. Usually one of my daughters comes out and visits, one or more, and we just kind of chat while I'm doing this. As you can see, I'm kind of chatting here. And this is why sometimes I turn to voiceover, is because when they come out to chat, you know, that's just a special time. Okay, this little shovel, I got this at the Dollar Tree. It is for when you go to the beach, but it's lightweight. I'm finding it's perfect for my gardening. I wouldn't dig up the ground with it. I would use a real dirt shovel, but for getting my soil out to put in these pots, it is absolutely perfect. So get yourself a little shovel from the Dollar Tree. $1.25. You can't beat it. And I have also been saving my wood ash, and I'm using that and kind of putting it around the outside of the house to repel especially mice, but apparently insects don't like it. Deer don't like it. I think that's what I read. You know, my husband warned me because at first I'm like, I'm going to spread this all over the yard. And he was like, okay, just don't spread it where we walk or people are going to be tracking in soot and you are not going to like that. And he is absolutely right, but it's good in gardens. So I'm going to do a little bit more research, but I'm definitely putting it around the edges of the house where you would have like stonework and stuff to repel anything because, you know, mice specifically need a very, very tiny hole, a very tiny spot, and they can squeeze right through. So anything I can do to motivate them to go the other way is definitely helpful. We do have some neighborhood cats, and one particularly that you might have seen. We call her Callie. Other neighbors call her Mittens, but she's just kind of a traveling cat and everybody loves her. And some of the neighbors feed her. So she is a great mouser and she also catches chipmunks. I do find it a little sad with the chipmunks, but she does keep the population down so that we're not overrun. And I have seen her in my backyard, and I think that's where they get in because the bulkhead is out there into the basement. And it also helps that my cats sleep in the basement. So ever since the cats really slept in the basement, you know, we've probably maybe had one mouse a year that they'll catch. And my exterminator friend says that everybody has mice. We just don't always see them, which is just alarming to me. So I'm using the soot. And I was a little nervous to be transplanting the lemongrass into these bigger pots because they're bigger to begin with, but it was actually super easy. But just remember when you see me lifting these pots that they're half full with pine cones and sticks. And I used some sticks, but mostly pine cones. The more I did, the more pine cones I used. And even this soil I'm putting in, this is soil that came from an old raised bed that we had. We stored it at the edge of our property. It has a lot of roots and stuff, so I think just because of the roots and the stuff that's in it, it is also lighter than, say, the topsoil. The topsoil I purchased was like mud. I got it at Ace Hardware. We have actually purchased some worm casings at the hydroponic store. And so when I plant my lettuce and my other vegetables, you're going to see me mixing the soil also with the worm castings because we don't get a lot of worms. I've even been thinking about purchasing some fishing worms and introducing them into the garden because if you can see at my feet, I mean, we have a lot of lake dirt, so it's sandy. And so we battle poor quality dirt very often, in fact, all the time. We bought one of those pot towers. You're going to see that in the coming days. And I wanted to plant different types of lettuce and do it vertically. My husband really likes to eat mixed greens, and so I think it'll be especially good for him. I bought some red kale. I think it's called red kale. It looks purple to me, so maybe it's called purple kale. I don't know. And I got some sweet peppers. And so, what else? I feel like I bought a stevia plant. So, you know, they always say not to get the junk stevia in the store, but make sure it's whole leaf stevia, that it doesn't have erythritol or anything in it. So what would be better than to grow my own stevia? And maybe I will transfer that inside at the end of the growing season, but I just wanted to kind of experiment with that. So now I'm going to try really hard to discipline myself not to buy any more plants, any more vegetables, until I have planted those in the pots where they're supposed to be. And I am 100% container gardening. I'm not even going to try to put it in the ground or have a raised bed. So what I'm doing here is I am just measuring with the actual lights to see where they can go, and I was a little disappointed. The idea was to put the solar panel on the ground. It even had a stake, but then it just took to go in the sun, which honestly, it doesn't need to be in the sun. If you have it south facing, that's good. So I thought it would have to be in the ground. It didn't. My husband also, I was glad I had him hang these because he was able to use straps to put the lights up and you know, connect them to the strap that was wrapped around the tree. He also did that with the solar panel. And so that way I didn't have to screw into a tree. And that made me happy because I was thinking I would use the hooks that you would normally hook plants to, like patio plants. And I would have had to screw into the tree to do that. But he is screwing something into the actual solar panel there. That's what he's doing. And then, poor guy, you're going to see him. Look, he's looking all around. And he couldn't find a screw, and he looked and looked and looked, and he's like, then I finally gave up, and I just went in the house and got myself another screw. But hey, thankfully we got those all organized for him in the basement, so at least it was easy for him to find another one, and maybe I'll be able to find the one that he lost. He's like, so this is great, you've got 10 minutes of me looking around for a screw. And I was like, that's okay, I'll put clown music on. It'll be great. But no, I'm not going to put clown music on. Poor guy. He was just beside himself looking for that. He was determined he was going to find it. And then finally, I mean, I would have probably spent 2 minutes looking for it, and then I would have gone and gotten another one. He just looked and looked and looked, and he couldn't find it. And so then he went and got another one. And what we ended up doing was stringing the lights from tree to tree where the hammock is attached to the tree, and they fit just perfectly. 27 feet of lights. So don't let the feet fool you. I'm going to buy the next size up, I think was 36 feet, I think. But I would definitely like to have more lights. You'll definitely see at the end of this video what it looks like all lit up. But I do think it's very beautiful out here. I'm hoping that lemongrass will get bigger and kind of fill in. Actually, I was thinking about going around the house. I do have naturally growing ferns. They're not like the full look that we have in these pots or this pot. But I thought, well, how about if I just took tons of ferns, even though they're individual, and put them all in one pot? So let me know if you think that works. Have you ever done that? And that would give me some free ferns because I do have extra pots for sure, because I haven't been getting rid of pots over the years and I've bought more. So I definitely think I have enough pots. And so that could be something pretty that we do over here too. So stay tuned for that. Let me know if you think it will work, but I might be able to find some plants around the yard that I can put in pots. I also thought about painting some pine cones and putting some painted pine cones in a basket or in a pot, but he doesn't want me to make it girly. He was into the lemongrass because it keeps the bugs away, but he wasn't really looking for something that's lush and flowering. He doesn't want to think he's waking up and, and he just had his own funeral. So there's the fern. I need to cut off the hanger. And there is the lemongrass. It looks good. It looked good the next day too, so I didn't kill it repotting it. And there is his area. And it's looking mighty fine.
It's still a very nice, clean area for him to get to relax. And, maybe someday we'll fill all this in with a lot more. And let me show you what it looks like at night.
Remember, as always, God loves you and I love you too, and I can't wait to see you next time.